My oh my, do my eyes deceive me?
Yes, you see yourself. I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey everybody, welcome to No Vacancy Live. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day to learn along with us. We got Anthony Melchiori over there. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I, of course, am Glenn Hausman. How are you, buddy?
So it's been a while since I've been on. What is it like not having? Do you like not having me on? You like having it by yourself, or you miss me?
I do miss you. I like having you on, and I also like doing it by myself. To be honest, because I just love talking to people. You know, when I work with you, it's a completely different experience than when I'm working solo. So I like them both because they're so different. Our dynamic is a lot of fun, but then also you add like a different element to the conversation that I would never be able to bring to it, which is awesome and enjoyable. But when I'm alone, I'm a control freak. I enjoy leading the conversation.
Whoa. Are you trying to say you've been working alone for the last week and taking credit? All right. I got to go back in my box now, but that's not an accurate.
But thankfully, I've had the incredible Dr. Producer Suzanne coming on a whole bunch to relieve the burden of me having to ask all of the questions and run everything.
So what's new in the hospitality business, my friend?
I don't know what's new in the hospitality business, but I did get to go to an extended stay conference on Tuesday in Manhattan, the Extended Stay Forum brought by IMN. I did hosted a panel, but it was really cool that we're seeing that extended stay is growing so nicely that conferences specifically geared towards this niche are being created.
Yeah, and like I said before, it's they're no longer the redheaded stepchild, and it's great to see. Yeah. And you've been busy yourself. You've been on a lot of road trips.
I have been. I've been on a whole lot of road trips, as have you, and I've been flying an awful lot. And one of the things that I have to do, lucky here in New York, we fly direct often. But if I'm not flying direct, I fly a lot through the Atlanta airport, right? And always going through there. I know it pretty well. There's a few places I like to eat. I broke this cardinal rule last night. Don't tell anybody. But typically, I only allow myself to enjoy Popeye's fried chicken at the Atlanta airport. Otherwise, I'm afraid that I'm going to eat it all the time, right? But I can't remember how many years it was ago because there used to not be any really good restaurants there. And I saw this sign coming soon for a restaurant and a sushi focus called One Flew South that was coming. And I'm like, whoa, this is completely different. People are going to respect that we like to eat in airports and stuff like that. And I think since that moment, Anthony, I've seen a huge shift to the way that restaurants are being created in airports.
Yeah. I was in a Delta Lounge, and I think it was not Atlanta. Where was it? I don't remember. And I went upstairs. Maybe it was Atlanta. And I went upstairs, and right next to the Delta Lounge was a famous big Asian restaurant.
Yep.
And it was just like, wow, that looks like it's in the mall. And listen, I spend most of my time in Delta Lounge eating, so you eat for free.
Well, I still like to go to, treat myself, particularly if I'm on some of those long layovers. And One Flew South is really cool.
What's that? Last week for Pebblebrook, we did something. Me and my friend Sarah, and I had to take a connector, which I never do. And especially through Atlanta, it gives me a panic attack because those connections are tight. So I went from Kennedy to Atlanta, making my connection, and I'm always the first on the plane or second on the plane. And as I'm walking onto the plane, I'm realizing I'm the last on the plane. So they're about to close the door, and the gentleman says to me, "I'm glad you can join us." It's like, and I look at him and go, "It wasn't my fault."
Yeah.
This connection's so tight.
I know. It's like, don't land me in Terminal A and expect me to get to Terminal C, in 20 seconds there. But listen, I got to make this transition. I've tried 3 times. I'm going to try it again. But if you do miss that flight, you have a chance to go to this awesome restaurant that is in the Atlanta airport. I'm talking about One Flew South. And Anthony, I thought it'd be a whole lot of fun to talk to the general manager and talk about what it's like actually running an airport that serves great food, but it's in a unique location.
Wait, when you're making that connection, I knew the connection you make. Am I not allowed to tell you one of my stories? Is this just controlled by you?
We're just 5 minutes and 25 seconds in, and I just feel so guilty. The poor man ran to get there.
You know, saying, Anthony, don't talk, and I'll do all the talking, and I'll just sit here.
You know, should we go back to the first question? Maybe I am happier doing this thing. All right, let's bring on our guest, Jason Dix. Hey, the multi-unit GM of One Flew South, a restaurant that first opened at the ATL airport and has since opened a second location in town. Right, Jason? Great. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
When did One Flew South originally open?
So 2008, it originally opened.
All right. So I'm sorry I was a little foggy on that, but that timeline really makes sense because your space opened as a delineating line, I think, between fast food and the so-and-so cafe that served horrible-looking stuff versus what we see now virtually everywhere. So just right out of the gate, what was it like being a pioneer opening something that was so not yet familiar and untested?
You know, it was extremely interesting, and to this day, it's still amazing because we're literally blowing people's minds every day when they come in. People, you walk in here. We're also in a food court, right? So we're an offshoot off the food court. So people come up the escalators and they're seeing McDonald's and Arby's and Villa Pizza and a TGI Fridays, and then they look over to their left and they see us. Marble, candles, linen on the tables. They're like, "What the heck is this?"
Right.
And then we're closed off. So they walk in and you actually have us in your background. So they walk in, and our goal is to make you not feel like you're in an airport.
Yeah, I mean, with the biophilic design, for example, with the walls of all the trees followed with the I'm trying to use word pictures now for the audio.
Sure.
With the wooden beams on the ceiling, really give it the opposite of an airport kind of feel.
In the intro, when you heard me and Glenn bickering, I always said I go to the Delta Sky Lounge. And when I did see that other restaurant, I don't think it's Atlanta, I was like, oh, wow, that looks weird. That doesn't belong here. That's not an airport restaurant. I don't remember what it was, but it's a fast food kind of thing. But it looked different. I was like, oh, maybe I'll do that next time. But if I saw your restaurant and I had 2 hours, I don't care about the Delta free lunch because I'm always having that. I'm going to your restaurant because I'm like, oh, I want to feel like a human being. I want to feel normal. And very rarely when you're, like, to your points, going through an airport, you just feel like that rush and next thing. But where else do we, in anything that we do in our lives, in our busy lives, do we get 2 hours to ourselves to enjoy something, or an hour to ourselves to enjoy something that's just ours? It's usually you're sharing it with a family or like that. You can get some work done. You can entertain yourself, whatever you want to do, but you can really enjoy that experience by yourself or with the person you're traveling with.
Absolutely. And, to your point, with the connections, I saw you, heard you talking about connections and everything. We actually have regulars. So we're an airport restaurant. We know people by name here. We know them by name. They have my cell phone. They call me up to say, I'm coming through. They call me saying, I'm actually in the air. Can you put in a sushi order for me? I'll pick it up.
Really cool. Right. Because, hey, I'm having a narrow connection, but I got to get my fix.
But we also have people that plan their trips and they plan their layovers around us. They plan 3 hours.
Yeah. And I think something's going on here.
Is my
what?
Is my mic better?
Yeah, but now you're getting horrible. All right. Sorry, Jason. There we go.
That's all right.
All right. So that is pretty remarkable, that you have built up such a following. So One of the things I want to make sure everybody understands is like it's high quality food that's located within an airport, right?
Correct.
You probably had to work to fight the stigma of being, good for an airport as opposed to just being a good restaurant to begin with. So what's it like having that albatross on your back? And I think at this point, probably finally freeing yourself from that.
We still deal with it every day. All of our Google reviews, I can't read enough of, fantastic food for an airport, right? Every day we live to be an amazing restaurant that happens to be inside of an airport.
Yeah.
But we sing our praises to anybody who will listen. We are a 2 times James Beard nomination.
Wow.
Yes, only airport restaurant ever to have 2 James Beard Award.
Well, I would say it's the only restaurant that happens to be in an airport.
Correct.
Why do you think it took so long for this to happen, for this to evolve?
I think just everyone's just so used to airports. And, before, I would say probably in the last 15 or plus years, food courts were it. You were getting, and you were getting the fast casual sit down places, TGI Fridays and Carrabba's and, the pizza joints and everything else. And, because I think that's all that people wanted. They wanted to get in, get out, get on their plane.
Or I would argue that's what everybody thought
they wanted. Yes.
Yeah.
And then for us, so we opened in the old international terminal. So ATL down here in Atlanta, Concourse E was the old international terminal before they added
Terminal F, which is probably
correct
5 to 8 years ago or something like probably longer than that because of COVID. My brain's a little dead. So when you go into that location, you're actively thinking with connecting flights overseas, there's going to be longer periods of time that people are going to be there. Therefore, a source of people that are looking for a more civilized type of traditional restaurant dining experience. My guess is that's kind of what the thought was going into it.
Absolutely. International travel, business travel, back when we first started the, expense accounts, the 3-hour business lunches, they were still a thing.
Yeah.
And what we've worked to do, and Chef Todd Richards, who was, the mastermind behind this, behind the concept, he hit the nail on the head when he said, okay, we're doing Southern infused, Asian infused.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two main things that people want in this, and we're giving it to them.
Because they want that number one. Asian food really is global at this point, but people are also looking for something specifically local, in particular if they're traveling through, would be my guess.
Correct. Yeah. So we're giving them a taste of home, hopefully a taste of home from the South in Atlanta, or a taste of home, on the international side.
Yeah. And something lighter and healthier. And, I go through the airport and I see all these burger places and fast food places. I'm like, if I go in there, I don't know how my next day is going to go, because it's going to destroy me for the next day or two. So it's just great to give them options. So let me ask you a question. Glenn and I are actually going to be keynote speaking at the High Tech Conference for the industry in Charlotte in June, I believe.
June 25th. Come on down, get your tickets.
And one of the things we're interested in is how is AI helping hotels and restaurants today? We're realizing it's really not going to touch the guests right now. It's going to be more in purchasing, counting. Are you guys using it? And if you're not using it, what are you thinking about using it? How are you thinking about using it?
So we're currently not. I mean, I'm a big numbers and trends guy. So I kind of I know the airport is kind of using it with their forecasting tools and everything else. So I'm using kind of AI to forecast how many people I'm going to feed today, and forecast how many people are coming in, and so I'm looking at it to help me from a trends perspective and from a tracking and forecasting perspective. So I'm kind of using the number side of it.
Yeah, and that's what we said. That's what we're going to talk about. Is like that's where it is right now, and it's really more about using the numbers you have and just making it easier instead of having somebody put all these numbers into a spreadsheet. So,
And getting better insights from those numbers.
yeah, but right now, and we just don't want to make sure our hospitality industry doesn't make the same mistakes they made in the years. We start shoving in AI where it doesn't belong.
Correct. And I think restaurants, as much as we can use AI for the forecasting and everything, there's nothing is going to be in person, face to face, pure hospitality. And that's what we try to, that's what we're doing every day. We're making travel civilized.
A technology standpoint, are you guys using QR codes as menus, or are you using full menus? How are you using QR codes?
So we were using QR codes coming out of COVID. We were using QR codes. One just for the touch free. I personally love the QR codes because in the airport, we need to be nimble. If I need to change a wine list because of vintage change or a beer or something, I can do it in literally 5 minutes. And everybody's up to date. However, we are trying to, again, we're trying to make it civilized. So we actually have full on printed menus. Yep. We have a beverage book with our full wine list and everything. So we do have the touch feel. Again, we want people, air travel these days is extremely stressful, and we recognize that. And again, we want to be the oasis here where you can feel like you can slow down and relax.
I want to come in and have that omakase box that comes with some sake is what I want. Anthony?
Do you have QR codes on the table if somebody wants to use it?
We used to. We did take them all off, so we're fully printed now.
Yeah, and because when I do go to a restaurant that has a QR code, it's like, okay, I'm in QR code mode. At first, I didn't like them. That's why I had QR code mode. But if I walk into your restaurant, to your point, it's like I just want to be served, and because it is so hectic, and I want to talk to somebody because maybe I'm traveling by myself, and I want to see a smiling face. I don't drink wine, but if I wanted somebody to talk to me about the wines, and it's just, to me, like that would be full circle. Like if you didn't take the QR codes out, it's like that's not full circle. This really makes you feel like, hey, we're here for you.
Absolutely. And Glenn, to your point, the omakase box, you can only get that Wednesday through Sunday. It comes in once a week. We have no idea what's coming in the box. It's literally a surprise from Japan.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So Dr. Producer Suzanne here says, talk about sourcing the food coming from Japan. Now, it strikes me, being in an airport, there's a lot of hurdles. One hurdle that you don't have is getting incredible food delivered literally to your front door. So
absolutely,
tell us a little bit about your sourcing when it comes to being able to do what others in town might not be able to do.
Sure, absolutely. So, so our fish, again, probably the freshest that you'll find, even fresher than street side locations. Again, we don't necessarily have to wait. It flies in and we get it. So all of our fish comes in 3 times a week.
That's amazing.
We only source the highest quality. So our tuna is amazing quality. Our salmon is Scottish farm raised salmon. Our hamachi is incredible. Our toro, our bluefin toro, comes in once a week. And so does the omakase box. And that was kind of that was kind of throw it against the wall and see if it sticks moment that myself and our sushi chef and our executive chef had. We wanted to give a full tasting menu. And so we reached out to our purveyor, and once a week we get they actually call it an omakase box because we have no idea. Right. Every Wednesday it comes in and it's a surprise.
People that don't know, omakase just means whatever chef is kind of wants to provide you. So you don't know what you're going to get. Right. I'm sure that you could share it with people ahead of time in the restaurant, but a lot of the fun is the mystery of it and leaving it up to the chef.
You took away from the omakase box when you said it's just random, because I like the mystery. I like the mystery of what it means.
It's not random, it's curated, right? Right. So the chef is really thinking about what's fresh, what's good, and a good omakase chef will continue to make new entries into that, depending on what they're doing. Yeah.
So Jason, this is a podcast about insider information, right? So
Sure.
we want to celebrate your restaurant and the ease of your restaurant, but I like to find out information. So a couple of things. One, I know from friends who work in airports, it is a challenge to get people to airports because it's a little further from their home, parking, trams, security, the whole nine. So let's just leave that because that's just part of being in an airport. But are you finding that people are coming back to the industry? It is a little bit easier to get resumes. I'm not saying it's easy to find great people, but is it at least people are showing up as opposed to what happened after COVID where, like, you're lucky if you call 20 people, 2 people showed up. Where are you right now?
Yeah, so that's a fantastic question. Staffing for an airport is actually it's up, especially in restaurants. For mine, I'm getting 3, 4, 5, 6 resumes a day.
Wow.
The good thing and what you have to think about is we have a fully captured audience. I get 325,000 chances every day on average to serve somebody. So unlike street side where it was declining and business was declining because people were just not leaving, they got to eat. If they're in an airport, they got to eat somewhere.
Yeah.
So we're a little different with the job market because we do have that captured audience. So people do know that there is always work and there's always business. So I'm not seeing now the quality that's still coming back. But yeah, as far as volume goes, it's there for us.
Yeah, and listen, in your business, it's about volume because a lot of people work on gratuities, and if you have the volume, you're going to get. It's almost like a guaranteed paycheck because, like, if you work at a restaurant, to the point, it's like, size and fries are great, but in your restaurant, like, you can almost guarantee that every night is going to be basically the same thing. Or Tuesday's really busy, Wednesday's really busy, Thursday's a little slower, but it's almost guaranteed because of the flights.
Absolutely.
Since Glenn, you've eaten in his restaurant, right?
Yeah.
So is it true that Glenn is a great tipper?
I'd have to pull the checks.
Yeah. I do all my tipping in cash, so nobody has to get involved besides me and the server. Yeah. That's really funny. Jason, it also strikes me that to tie in some of like the knowledge base, you could probably have a good understanding of how many flights are coming in each day. So you're really able to probably figure out, particularly in the 2021 to 2023 phase, right? Like how much demand there's actually going to be on a much more granular level than somebody that just has a street corner business out there on Main Street, for example, right?
Absolutely. So every morning, the airport, the Department of Concessions sends out the TSA report for the day. And actually the TSA report for the day and then for the month with the estimates. Right. So I know by hour how many people are coming through TSA.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
So like for a perfect example.
But you also have info on flights that are just coming in? Because like, I only once a year go to Atlanta when I have to go through TSA. I'm there like 90 more times the other way.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry to interrupt you. Please continue.
No, so Delta, of course, we are the home of Delta. So Delta does put out their number of flights, and we have arrivals, departures by hour. And it doesn't tell us which gates they're coming in at, but I can tell by the concourse.
Right.
But like perfect example. So today we have 105,000 people going through TSA, starting their trip. It's Memorial Day, so we're in full swing.
Then you got another 100,000 that are probably transferring there. If you're talking about 335,000 opportunities.
Correct. Yeah. So 100,000 is just starting, is just passing through TSA to get into the airport. And then connections and everything else. Yeah, we're up to 350, 375.
Well, how does your marketing your restaurant in an airport work? Because if I pass it by, I'll see it's interesting. But how do you communicate to me why it's interesting?
Train.
We do. We do have the train. We do have the clings and everything on what they call the plane train. We have a pretty big. We kind of have a cult following. So on Instagram, we do a lot of stuff on Instagram. People are posting. People come by all the time and just take pictures of the sign and post on Instagram and say, "If you know, you know." We're here. So it kind of markets for itself. The airport does a fantastic job with the video boards all throughout every single concourse of, and they list everything. So, I mean, there are 300 some odd restaurants within this airport.
Wow.
And so they tell you exactly how to get to us and all of that fun stuff.
That's great. So before Glenn wraps it up, because I know we're about to wrap up, we talk to people all the time in our personal businesses and our podcast, and I just know when somebody loves what they do. I'm a hotel guy that happens to run restaurants. I'm not a restaurant guy. Why do you love this crazy, intense, very challenging business? Because it's pouring out of you. Why do you love it so much?
I've been this way since I was 12 years old. I was a hotel guy for almost 15 years. I was some of the biggest brands that you could have. I've opened 2 hotels. I've been through full hotel renovations. I've been transferred over into country clubs, and now I'm in the restaurant segment. So I think just hospitality in general, that's my passion. I found it when I was 12, and anything that I can do to serve people in any capacity, it's what I love to do.
How did you find it at 12? What was the thing?
I dressed up like a butler, and I was serving my older sister and her friends when they came over.
I love it. That's amazing.
These questions, because you always hear great stories.
Yeah. All right. One last question for you. Do you
Sure.
you drive to work every day, or are you fortunate enough to take the MARTA train?
I drive every day. I'm fortunate enough to have parking, but that's about it.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. One flew south. Next time you're passing through the Atlanta airport, make sure you schedule some time to go and have some food over there for sure. Jason, thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Wait, what was that, Anthony?
But if I'm flying north, am I allowed to go to one flew south?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. Their sister restaurant, Two Fly North, is opening next door. So you got that going on. All right, Jason, thank you so much. That was really fun. I mean, it's great to talk about hospitality from all the different areas of hospitality. Restaurants are always fun, but the new twist with the airport part, that was really, really exciting.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's going to help us ask a lot of tech questions, because that was really kind of what his answer was about AI is exactly what we're talking about. So I want to make sure we're on point for a high-tech speech.
Yeah, you are. That's June 25th, 8:30 a.m. Go to the High Tech website. Hope to see you there. Meanwhile, I know you're thirsty for more information, so why not follow us on wherever you get your podcasts and wherever you see your videos. NoVacancyNews.com, YouTube, Anthony's webpage, Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of good stuff. Whew. That was tiring. I'm having trouble getting it off the screen too. Oh boy.
And you just ignored me. I like that. I enjoyed that. But you just said, we got to get through this. Shut up, Anthony. But what's interesting is on this podcast, you're very much the boss and you push things through, and I love it.
Yeah.
In getting ready, behind the scenes a little bit, in getting ready for our speaking gig, we've never done this before together, and it's very interesting dynamic.
Because it's the opposite?
No, it's not really the opposite at all. It's just we just work, our brains work differently.
They do. Our brains definitely work differently, which is why I love doing stuff with you, because it always adds a different component. When it comes to us developing this conversation together that we're going to have with the high tech audience, you have a great working relationship with Kalindra, who's your right hand person with putting this together, and you guys have already a shorthand and a way of doing things. Plus, you have a great way of approaching presentations. So it's affording me the opportunity to let you be in the driver's seat and put my control freakness in the backseat for a little while.
Also, obviously, you're adding a lot to it, but it's just interesting how.
No, but you're more like driving it, where I'm throwing in stuff, you know?
Right. It's funny. The reason I got Kalindra involved very early on was like, you and I are not going to be. We're going to just go like this.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great.
I was like, it's a intro to make us both kind of, put us on the track. But yeah, I love what she's doing, and I love how good it's coming out. And I think people will be excited. When are we going to High Tech to be the keynotes?
June 25th, 8:30 a.m. I'll be there all week, but arriving on the 24th.
I'm actually. It's funny. I'll know more, but I may change my flights. I may be there all week as well.
Oh, really? That's exciting.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. All right, everybody.
What does that mean when I see? What does that mean, Glenn?
That means you're working some things out, and you'll.
And would
It's either going to be in Charlotte or I don't know, in a poker room in Vegas or something.
I'm not going to be in the poker room. I actually need work to do down there. But anyway, all right, Mike. That was fun.
Yeah. All right, remember, everybody, you got one life, so blaze on and
Be kind to yourself.
see y'all later. Bye-bye.